Hello, YouTube. So it's 11:28 p.m. January 3rd, 2022. Took a little struggle, but I got the month and the year right. So yeah, just my typical timing. Walking out of Chase, right as I got to the end of the little walkway that goes from the branch to the sidewalk on Thomas Road, I could see the Thomas bus at that bus stop pulling away. So, ouch. This time of day, I expect there'll be another bus along shortly, so that's a good thing. Pretty painless experience over at Chase. I was able to get the rest of the money I need for my money order from the storage, and I was also able to chat with the security guy. He was super friendly. Didn't even hassle me for coming in the vestibule without a mask, since I was going directly to the ATM. They're still playing that silly game where they only let a handful of people in the lobby and have everybody line up outside. And there's quite the lineup outside. Actually, it looks like about 4 or 5 people now, but it was quite a line when I walked up. And yeah, I told him I sure hope they're done with that nonsense before it actually gets hot out again. So, and he agreed with me, but then again, that nonsense is keeping him in a job. So, you know, yeah, that is what that is. So yeah, I'm not sure when the next bus is going to be. I could open up the app and find out, but you know, I mean, it doesn't get it here any quicker. I'm not sure why that guy's just standing there. He's kind of shuffling. So yeah, the guy sitting at the bus stop with all the junk and the scooter, he was pretty sure he was there when the bus came by and didn't get on the bus. It could be he's camping out at that bus stop, but it could also be that he's going to a point farther west than that particular bus was going. As I've said many times, a lot of the buses, the longer routes going east and west in Phoenix, they don't all go to the end of the route. So right now, 44th Street that's that point on the east side. Only some buses go east of 44th Street. Pretty sure that point used to be 52nd Street, but now it's 44th Street, which sucks for me as a person who's a little bit east of 44th Street. I don't know. To me, that bus should be going at full frequency at all times, all the way to Pima Road. But, you know, that's not up to me. And people in Scottsdale have decided that they don't want to pay for public transit. In fact, I would be willing to bet that Scottsdale, more than any other municipality, has actual bus stops. And by an actual bus stop, I mean a bus shelter and a bench and a trash can, with a sign that says there is no longer service at this bus stop. I'm willing to bet that there goes a northbound 44. I'm willing to bet that Scottsdale has more of those than any other municipality in the United States. If anybody thinks that there's some place that has more of them, hit me in the comments. I would love to know who else is failing with their transit at that level. I will at least thank Scottsdale for not wasting the money ripping out all those bus shelters and benches, because when you're walking, sometimes it is nice just to have a bench to sit down for a moment. I mean, I'm not fond of the people that loiter at them nonstop when I'm wanting to wait for a bus, but you know, to sit for a second, just gather your thoughts. That's not a bad thing. Also, when I was doing scooters in, for Lime, it was that those were what we used as our, now I forget what the hell the term was, but basically that was where we put the scooters to, we staged the scooters for people to rent them when they were fully charged. And I always, took ones that were nearby and sat them there just to make it neat for anybody coming up to rent a scooter and make it look neat. So at least they were still serving a purpose, while there was still scooter service in Old Town, in Scottsdale. Lime was pretty much covering all of Scottsdale, or most of Scottsdale. Yeah, now that Lime is gone, the scooter companies that are still there, I don't think they really put them anywhere outside of Old Town. although it's really been a while since I've been in Scottsdale. And maybe I need to change that, I had a friend of mine that texted me a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago-ish, 3 weeks ago, to tell me that she was at Gilligan's, and she's like, why the hell are you not here doing karaoke at Gilligan's? And she said that she was talking to people there, and she's like, you realize you're like a living legend in Scottsdale when it comes to karaoke. And I'm like, yeah, I said, I don't really feel like much of a legend at all these days. I'm just walking around, not getting much done. But I don't know, maybe I should try to dedicate a little of my week to getting myself all dressed up and looking good, and not looking homeless, and get myself a what do you call it? Get myself a just be out there hustling for gigs, not at Gilligan's, because obviously the Fields have already made their decision to hire hosts through Spencer, but there's certainly other places in Old Town, and if I'm as legendary as people are telling me, I would imagine I probably have a better chance of getting hired there than I do in other parts of town that I'm going to. Anyway, it's a thought. Now, I'm not sure when the I know I'm shooting excessive video, and I have the last couple of days, and every time I do this, like, my view counts go way down. As I've said before, I'm not really doing this for views. I'm doing it as more of a personal diary of like the struggles that I'm facing these days, which largely are centered around lack of having a vehicle. And I just there's so many videos about transit, and almost all of them are about how great transit is. And I've noticed nobody doing a vlog about how difficult it really is to get to, what the heck is that? Wow. Here's another good one too. 125 years ago, you didn't have to ask permission from the government to collect rainwater, go fishing, own a property, start a business, renovate your home. Wow. I'm just going to hold on that. I can't really see it good enough to read it. I'm going to want to freeze frame it and read that later. Interesting enough, that mask, it's got a specific name for it. It's become synonymous with Anonymous, and the hacker group, and also the movie V for Vendetta, and I'm sure that's the reference in this picture, this flyer that's been stuck on this utility box. But I ordered one of those masks. Just I want to see what the reaction will be as I use that mask to comply with the transit mandate to wear masks on buses, trains. I did once upon a time put a bag over my head and just cut out a tiny hole for one of my eyes to be in compliance with it. And honestly, that was part of me having sort of a mental breakdown. It definitely kept people at arm's length away from me, and security didn't. They seemed like they were keeping an eye on me, but they didn't mess with me on the train. There's no security on the buses, but there is security on the train. In fact, I find that interesting, that there's no security on the buses, but not only does the train have security guards that I believe are armed, and several of them that get on and off the train constantly, and they use some kind of a smartphone type device, and then there's a sensor in every car on the door to the entrance to the spot where the driver drives, even on the cars that aren't being driven. For those who are unfamiliar, most of the trains are 2 to 3 cars long. I think they're all 3 cars long, but each car can be driven individually and in either direction. So there is a driver compartment on each end of each car. So on a 3-car train, even though there's one driver sitting in one driver compartment, there's also 5 empty driver compartments. And it's on the door of those driver compartments where the sensor is that the security guards on the transit security uses to I'm assuming it's just basically to log in, because I've had some of them walk up towards me like that, and I go to pull out my transit, pass to show it, and they're just like, "No, you're good." And I'm like, "Okay." And I've seen that behavior enough to realize that it's some kind of a digital logging in procedure. And the other thing is that just showing the difference between rail and bus as far as security. Not only is there no security on the buses, but there is an actual app specifically for reporting things on the trains. And I thought maybe it was for reporting anything about Valley Metro. In fact, when I noticed that was and I'm sure I vlogged about it and showed images of it, the bus stop where I get on the northbound 44 there at Oak, somebody had smashed the glass out for the advertisement there, the billboard. And somebody just shattered the glass, and there's broken glass everywhere. And I wanted to report that. And I figured I'd use that security app to report it. The 44, there's the southbound 44. So I wanted to use that security app to report it, and that's when I found out that app was exclusively for the light rail. So I don't know. I think that's kind of a problem, that they're providing that service for the light rail and providing all the security for the light rail, but nothing for the buses. It's easy to say, well, the drivers can do that, and the drivers do kind of do that. But you know what? The drivers should be focused on driving. Driving in this city is a lot to focus on for somebody driving an SUV, which seems to be the standard vehicle these days, or a large truck like that, which also seems to be a standard vehicle, or an oversized, ugly-ass minivan. Yeah, somebody driving something that big, all their focus really should be on the driver. They shouldn't have to be the security person for that bus as well. Anyway, throwing that out there. So it took me a little over 12 minutes, about 14 minutes actually, to wait for another bus, because as I walked out of the bank, the bus was leaving. I'm not going to complain. That ain't bad. Anyway, I need to get over to the stop and get my mask on. Thanks for coming with me. Still got a few more stops. I had several stops today. So be a lot of videos. I doubt anybody will watch them all, but at least have a record of just how much time it takes to run 30 minutes. What would have been 30 minutes worth of errands in my